Welcome, everybody, to the Wholesaling Inc. podcast. I am your host, Brent Daniels, and for the first time ever on this podcast, I'm going to be actually interviewing somebody that is in my business, on my team, part of my staff, well, formerly part of my staff, because she has branched out into her own business, her own wholesaling businesses, and is absolutely crushing it. So, welcome to the podcast, Natasha Reeves.
Thank you, Brent Daniels.
So here's a scoop, guys. So Natasha joined my business, Offer Arizona, in February last year, March of last year. When was it?
Yeah.
When did you start taking over?
Sneakily, probably in like January last year.
All right, so here's the deal. So Natasha has a twin sister named Allie. Allie was my acquisition manager. Now, Allie met a boy. That boy flipped mobile homes. They started getting into that. So she started having her twin sister, Natasha, start doing the actual appointments, right? Or the follow-up.
Yep. The follow-ups, without you knowing it, or at least that's what we thought, anyways.
Well, I was getting a little bit of signs there, a little bit of,
did she do 100 leads in one day kind of thing?
Yes, exactly, when she wasn't doing anything. So that was awesome. So it was kind of like a 2-for-1 for me, because you guys came as a package deal. Now, you didn't do any wholesaling before.
No, I didn't do anything, wasn't in real estate. Allie made me do some door knocking a couple months earlier. That was it.
And how'd the door knocking go?
Oh, it was really bad. We didn't get anything. And then, a year later, one of the door knockers actually called. Yeah. So, I mean, maybe if you want to wait a year for your first deal.
Yep, got it. So it was really interesting, because I actually hired Natasha in the middle of 2017 as a cold caller. She lasted exactly how many days?
I don't know if it was a full 14.
No.
I don't know. I don't even know.
So she was making a cold calls. Now, this is something that I suggest to everybody that has an office. If you've got an office space, make sure that you get it bright and cheery and some like life in it. Because if you just set somebody in a dark room by themselves to make cold calls, it just doesn't help. Right?
No,
you were like depressed.
Yeah. No, I quit really quick. I thought it was the worst thing that was ever possible. And I was making $20 an hour, which was more than I've ever made. Yeah. And I was just like, I still did not want to do it. Right.
So here's the thing, at $20 an hour, she was coming in, she was making cold calls. She had never, had you done cold calling at all before?
And again, there's probably like another 2-week stint. I cried, I was 18. Yeah. But before that, nothing. Or after that, nothing.
So what is your background? Like, what were you doing before you took over your Allie's acquisition manager job?
I was still figuring things out. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So before that, I was doing some flooring. If you're a woman doing flooring, you'll probably know that most of the people that you're going to work with are dumb. One, dumb, and you're gonna get sexually harassed.
Got it. Yep.
So I did that, and that was for like 3 or 4 weeks. Mm-hmm. I did some roofing. I did that. Wasn't doing the roofing. Right. I was doing admin, sales. I don't know. The guy didn't have his stuff together. Yeah. And then before that, traveling, and I worked in a gym. It was all over the place.
All over. Yeah. Yep. So then you started going on. We had a bunch of leads coming from direct mail marketing and from cold calling, right? Yeah. And you would take those. You would do essentially with the acquisition managers in my business is once the leads come in, it is their job to do the follow up and get them locked up, right?
Right.
So what's the toughest part about lead follow up?
I would say the toughest part isn't even like the people that just tell you to go F off. I would say the the toughest part is really having a hot lead and being at the precipice of getting that lead, and then they sell with somebody else. Right. Or they make you wait another month. They drop off the earth and you never hear from them. And all you saw was money, and you're like, I got this, And then when it doesn't happen, I think that's probably the worst part.
That's the toughest part, yeah. So it's not putting in the work. It's not every day, like Groundhog Day, making your lead follow-up calls, getting people to the point where they're ready to sign a contract?
I think it just depends on who you are. For me, I was, at my end's wit. I didn't have any money. All I had was hope and time. Mm-hmm. So I was willing to put in that effort to get to make money. Mm-hmm. But people that are working a job, that pays them pretty well, I think for them to put in that work where they're not going to make any money or not going to see any results for a while, that might be the hardest part. But that wasn't for me. It was being broke, putting in the work, getting so close to a deal, and then not getting
it
that
falling
deal.
apart.
Yeah, falling apart.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because in our mind, we already have that check, right?
Yeah.
In that mind, we have that the contract. We already know it's going to sell for a big one. We're like, oh, this is the one that's going to change it all up, right?
Yeah.
So I totally get that. Well, which is really interesting, because I think that Natasha had an extreme advantage. I really do. I really think that you had an extreme advantage not knowing much about the industry.
Yeah.
Not knowing how to comp it, not knowing if it was a deal or not a deal, or how big of a deal it was. It was basically like, hey, I've got this person that wants to sell. This is the price. What can we offer them, right? Mm-hmm. And then it was just... So with our business, what happens is the acquisition managers get all the details. We go through the 4 pillars of pre-qualifying: condition, timeline, motivation, price. And then from there, it goes into our disposition manager, Billy Bell, and he'll give us a price, or I'll give you a price on what would be the ceiling of what we would offer. And you would be pulling out of those prices before even knowing what our ceiling was, to kind of get an idea of what those people... seeing if it would be a deal or not, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's an advantage just being, I want to say naive. I don't want to say that it's, I think it's just, I think not hallucinating and thinking that what the seller's going to want in every situation is a huge advantage, especially for anybody that's looking to hire people out there that are acquisition managers, or you're doing it yourself right now and you're doing the lead follow-up and you keep stumbling over your perfectionism or your paralysis by analysis. I think it's absolutely critical to be able to just go in, dumb yourself down to the point of what is the lowest that somebody will take on a property.
Definitely.
Right? Because your first 2 deals went $50,000 and then $76,000.
Yeah.
Boom, boom.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, and then it just kept going and going and going and going to the point now, everybody, where Natasha has branched out on her own with her husband, Andrew. They're a dynamic duo. They still come into my office here, or our office, I should say. It's like a joint office space. Yeah. And we're just really involved in the business, and just everything seems to be snowballing for you, right?
Yeah, and we're really lucky too, and we've kind of gotten out of our own way as well, going kind of back to the ignorance thing, because we've done a lot of comping since then, and we can, like you said, think all day about what we think somebody will take for it. But if we don't just throw out an offer, or a low offer, we'll never know if that's what they would have taken or not. Yep. So you can always backpedal as well, and we've learned that. Anchor low. And it's funny because we just hired our first acquisition manager, and I'm comping these deals, and it's funny because she doesn't have any idea what these houses are worth. So I'll give her a number, which I'm like, oh, that's low, that's low. Yeah. And she'll be like, they better take it, that house is shit, Yeah. And so it's funny because I'm like, oh, she really believes that. I know. And, if you really believe it, most likely the people you talk to are going to believe it as well. Well,
I think that's one of the biggest stumbling blocks for people that come from a traditional real estate background. Somebody that's a realtor, or they did mortgages, or they've just been in the industry for a long time, is they can't get over the fact that somebody will take less than retail for their house. Yeah. People don't understand that they trade speed and convenience for their equity in their house. Some people just want to get rid of it now, Yeah. So, I mean, that's incredible. And the more we get out of our way and let them tell us what they see, I think we hallucinate. We come up with these stories in our head that say these people need to get this because that will make them happy. No, why don't you ask them what will make them happy? I think we go initially and we try to see what will make them happy and see what they want and everything, and we put ourselves in their position, and it screws up the whole thing. Yeah. It confuses them, it confuses us. We don't get the deal. They end up doing something else with somebody, taking another offer, and then they cancel, and then it's just a whole whole, cluster.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's really important to figure out what they want, not what you would want in their situation, because it's totally different.
So when you were coming up, now this is something that I get a lot. A lot of people ask me the question, well, Brent, how do you train your acquisition managers? Brent, how do you find the right people? How do you recruit the right people? And I always say that first, I look within the people that I know. I'll post to Facebook. I'll ask people. I'll try to get some referrals from people that have good skills and have that high emotional intelligence, right? Yeah. And then the second thing is, when it comes to training, I kind of just threw you out there.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
So talk to people about it. Are you glad that I did that? If you could do it differently now that you have an acquisition manager, what do you think you would do?
I think it worked. I also had my sister, she taught me a bit of it. She took me on for my first couple of appointments, and she told me how to call and gave me the script that you had given her. And I think that was really enough for me to get started. And then I kind of figured out what worked and what didn't work. I think it's always good. I still do continual training and watch videos for myself. And I think that's good for every new acquisition manager as well. But, the more you know, the also even more potential that you might get in your way. So I don't know. I think it's okay to not know much and just get started. Yeah. So I'm just a firm believer that you either have the skills or you don't. That you have you're not really taught how to build your emotional intelligence. Either you've got that part of your personality or you don't. Sure. And I think most of it is not the things, a lot of people want to have this structured, this is the presentation that you go through when you get to the house, right? Yeah. And this is how you break down all the things that are wrong with their house, and this is how you show them that you came up with a number, and here's how you give them the comps. I think all of that is BS. I think going in with all that stuff and all that information just makes people way more confused. Yeah. What do you think? I've never done that.
I know.
Yeah. So I've never done that. I do think people don't necessarily care about all that information. What they really care about is what they want.
That's it.
So
that is it. Yeah. And how do you know what they want if you're not asking really good questions and really listening to what they have to say? I feel like people that have these preset presentations, it has to go in their order as opposed to just making sure that you're going pre-qualified, because that's a big one, right? Mm-hmm. Nothing's worse than you going on an appointment that you don't know enough about, and then you're just wasting your time driving to Mesa or Peoria or Glendale or wherever, and they're not going to sign. Yeah. So we got to get them pre-qualified. But after that, it's just going to their house and getting the contract signed.
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
Am I crazy?
No, I think people make it too complicated. I think everybody has their own way of doing things. Sure. And I don't know, maybe it works. I don't know. I haven't analyzed everybody else's business. I just know what's worked for me, and it's definitely nothing so structured.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, and I think it's really important if you guys are listening to this on the podcast as you're driving around, or if you're watching this on the YouTube channel, the Brent Daniels Real Estate Coach YouTube channel. Really, the important things to take out of this is, stop letting everything get in the way of you taking action and actually talking to the people and asking them questions and finding out about their situation. Because the more that you think about it and stew on it and try to anticipate the way that they're going to react to the things that you say or the things that you ask or the way that you present your offer or whatever it is, that all those things are going to block you, and they're going to clog up your pipeline of being able to take serious, real action and get in front of people. Because it all comes down to talking to people.
TTP!
Right?
Yeah.
So here's the deal. Andrew and Natasha gave me their 6-week notice in November. Said, you know what, Brent? We've been listening to the Wholesaling Inc. podcast. This is what Andrew told me.
Is that
I was listening to the Wholesaling Inc. podcast. We got to burn the boats. We got to cut the ties. We really want to be entrepreneurs and do this ourselves. So we'll follow up with all our hot leads that we have, because Andrew was doing some text blasting for my company. And then once those flow out, once those hot leads are closed or done, but we're going to start our own leads starting January 1. Yeah. Right? So since then, guys, I have a flip that Natasha put together last year that's going to close. We're going to net around $40,000. She also put together a deal on a property that had fire damage that we just closed on Friday for $57,600. Remember, this girl does big deals, okay?
Yeah.
Now, and then you have 3 other pendings that you have personally, 1 door knocking and 2 TTP? Cold calling?
1 referral, 1 cold calling.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me about the door knocking. So you got 3 other leads. So just to keep track here, she's at $97,500 for the month of total, and now your door knocking one is how much?
$48,500.
Ooh, $48,500. All right, so tell us about that because this is a year in the making.
That one was one of those ones that was a heartbreaker, right? I did my work, I followed up, he was motivated, he was at the right price, and the right price being, I had given him the 2018 tax assessor number. And, you know, he had the right motivation, and then he ghosted me. He ghosted me, and I didn't hear back from him. Then he said, you know, it wasn't the right time. I sent him flowers 2 months later, and then 8 months later, he called me back, and he said he was ready to go. You know, and he was ready to go at the same price that I offered him. I ended up offering him a little bit more, you know, a 57K deal. I was feeling a little bit, you know. Sure. But yeah, he was just ready to go. It was really easy.
What was his motivation?
The original motivation was he was going to move out of his house. He had some health issues, and he was going to move back to Mexico. But then his new motivation was that he was going to stay here, but he just wanted to be in a house that he didn't have to take care of anymore because it's pretty, I don't know, dumpy. It needs work.
So the condition is it needs a lot of work. Motivation is health issues and just can't keep up with the house. Timeline was he was ready after a year. He
thought about it. He was ready to go.
And he had your number.
He had my number. I had texted him a ton of times, called him a couple.
How many times? How many times?
I don't know, like 40.
40.
Yeah.
40 times.
Yeah.
This is called persistence. Yes, 40 times. Okay. Especially, here's the deal. Well, I mean, we have a rule in our business, right? That if the condition's rough, we're going to stay on them.
Yeah.
Right? Until the end of time. If it's just rough, they have to make a decision at some point. You know what I mean? And so you stuck with it. 40 texts and calls and flowers and you know, just good vibes sent out to them, and 48.5.
48.5. I would
48.5.
say, you know, a little bit of that was, you know, God's good grace.
Sure.
You know,
Sure.
He knew I needed a deal.
Yeah.
And he, you know, had him call me.
Got it. So you're up to now about $145,000 for the month.
Yeah.
And first of all, let me give you one of these. 48.5. Tell me about the other 2 deals you got. You got a referral.
Yep, I got a referral. So he was a realtor that I worked with Brent, and so he actually was the same guy as the the burn house deal, and Brent helped make that relationship because he ended up closing on a house. Yeah,
it was not a great deal, but we kept the relationship. It was good.
Kept the relationship, which was great, and at the time it seemed really crappy, but then, you know, we got this 57K deal, and then he came back to me and he had another property. It was...
This guy's the king of the rough houses.
I guess. You know, he's a firefighter, so he sees a lot of rough houses, but this one in particular is in Gilbert. You know, it's in a really nice neighborhood, 700,000 plus, you know, going for. So I had taken a look at it and I was like, there's no way. You know, I've never dealt with a house that was this expensive before.
Right. And once you get into those more expensive houses, then those fears kind of creep in. You don't look at it as, oh wait, this is still just a piece of paper.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All of a sudden this thing gets big, but you push through it.
Yeah, I did. And really, I was just like, this is not I just kind of knowed him a bunch. I just said, this is not the property we buy. It's better to list it. And he kept telling me, give me your offer. And I was like, well, crap, I got to give this guy an offer. So I asked Billy, who also works with us, and he does a lot of disposition and comping, what he thought. And he's just like, tell him 500 and then move on. You're not going to get this property.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll just give them tell them what they paid for it, which was $550. And then we kept negotiating until we could get it under contract. And still, I didn't know if we were going to be able to sell it. But, first things first is get it under contract.
That's it.
Right.
Yeah.
So then we blasted it out, and we're at 26,000.
26,000. Love it. And TTP lead. So you've got some callers. A caller?
We have 4 callers.
Four callers in the Philippines.
Yes.
Right. And so this came from them.
The Gilbert lead?
No. Your next one.
The next one, yes.
Sorry, I've already moved on.
You've moved on.
You've got so many deals going on here.
I
so
know.
You're now at, where were we at? We're at 140 plus another 20. What'd you say? 26. So now you're at 168,000 in this 30-day block. Okay, next. Let's pile some more on.
This one's a little bit of a smaller deal, but I still feel very proud of it because I got him under contract way too high.
Yeah.
I didn't get it up at a wholesale price, but it is in a nice area, and I knew people would be interested in it as an Airbnb or rental property.
Got it. Yep.
So I think the first thing was just finding the value or seeing the value in it. That one we got locked up at 110 and sold it for 119, but I wasn't really satisfied with $9,000, so I wanted to see how low I could renegotiate the offer. And I normally don't do that. I normally feel really bad about that, but new year, new me.
New year, okay.
So I renegotiated it down another $6,000. So $14,000. Well, altogether it would be 104. Am I doing my math? 15,000.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's 183,000.
Yeah, around
183,000.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
In 30 days.
Yeah.
Incredible. I mean, that is bananas. I mean, that's big time. I mean, you've got companies that have staff of 20, 30 people trying to do that a month, right?
Yeah.
And you've got you and Andrew and now an acquisition manager, which she doesn't even count because, these are all really your efforts, right? That's just you guys. So, I mean, it's just incredible, I mean, I'm so happy, and I don't want to say proud because it's not like that, but I'm like really, really happy for you, that.
Yeah.
And it's just exciting to see you guys go and pick up the momentum and then just keep going because you do. You have big goals, you have big dreams, you have a big family that you want, to be around and to really take advantage of all these things that you're going to be providing for them. So that's really awesome. And just to let you know, I mean, literally, where were you living 12 months ago? Where were you living February of 2018?
February 2018. I think I was still living with Andrew's parents. Yeah, my parents-in-law. Yeah. And then after that was with my sister and her husband. And now we're in our own house.
Now you own your own house, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing what a year does, right?
Yeah, definitely.
5 years from now, it's going to be bananas. It's going to be absolutely ridiculous. I'm so happy. Yeah, but guys, this all comes down to being super, super, super focused. Like, this is what Natasha does. Natasha goes out. She knows that she's a winner. She has that identity part of herself that she knows that she's a winner. She knows she's going to do it. And even though there's setbacks and there's a lot of mental, we've had a lot of conversations about building up that mentality and really, focusing in on that winner identity part because this business has a lot of ups and downs. It has a lot of emotions. It has a lot of deals that you think should go through and they don't go through. And then all of a sudden you take it as, what am I worth? How do I get better? What did I do that was wrong? Do I deserve this type of money? Do I deserve this type of success? Yeah. The answer is yes. The answer absolutely is yes. Yeah. You're just the perfect example of it, for sure.
Yeah, thank you.
And you're how old?
25.
25 years
yeah.
old. Everybody out there is no excuse. Zero background in real estate. Really, a little bit of background in sales, but more just high emotional intelligence, high work ethic, like high just passion to succeed and be an entrepreneur. So, so awesome.
Oh,
You're the best.
Well, the last thing that I would want to add is just it helps to have a mentor, you know, and it helps to, I mean, you can go out and do it on your own, and that's great, fail forward. Yep. But I think you'll, in my opinion, make more leaps and bounds if you have somebody who's done it already.
Totally agree.
You know, talk with them, work work under them, you know, for however long you need until you get comfortable doing it on your own.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Or if you just want the absolute best real estate wholesale mentor on the planet, go to wholesalinginc.com/TTP. I'd love to personally mentor you as well. Wholesalinginc.com/TTP. If you were to talk to somebody out there that has never done a deal before, is getting going with it, what advice would you give that person from a mental standpoint so that they keep moving forward, that they keep committed to they build up that courage? What would you say?
I don't even know where to start. I mean, first, you can do it. You can do it. You know, write affirmations down, write what you're grateful for, feel that abundance, and just know what you've already done and how you're a winner already, and try and remember those moments where you've already won.
Love it.
And put it in place where you haven't won, and just feel it. Yep. Feel like you've won it already.
I love it. This coming from a gal that's got almost 200,000 closing in the next 30 days. So listen up. Thank you. You're the best.
Thanks for having me, Brent.
All right. Until next time, guys, I am Brent Daniels, and I encourage you to talk to people. See ya.